of the fact that an African woman, the remains of an African woman by the name of Denknesh, which Westerners call Lucy, dug up in Ethiopia, 3.2 million years old, and you sticking still to Adam, not yet 6,000 years old. And then you expect that something is going to miraculously happen and will change your lot in the world, along the fact that God himself has appeared in Washington, D.C. a few days ago with Maya Angelou and her third white husband. And you feel exceedingly happy and proud that she has sent a poem, and yet couldn't bring a black husband with her to hear the poem. It's about time. My mama used to say, boy, if you ain't gonna shake it off the pot. You must excuse me because my English grammar is very direct. What we have to, I said, even the paper that is printed here, when we made that to make communication easier, so that we didn't have to just write on trees or write on rock stones and people to come, we needed to pass information in great distances. When our scientists developed paper, papyrus as it's called, Greece had not had a peak in the sun yet. The first Greek writer, Homer, and his Iliad and Odyssey was nowhere in the world. Nowhere in the world. That was not until 833. For you Greek freaks, it was not until 833. You see why I say, that's why people don't invite me to the school. And some who invite me don't invite me back. But the fact must be stated irrespective of who it hurts. If you're hurt, then you should check it out and see why you're hurt. You must stop and realize that when your ancestors were deciding the mathematical formulas in order to build the 82 pyramids of Egypt, not a single Jew, white, black, or technicolor, was born as yet. The first of those pyramids was built in the 3rd dynasty by Amenhotep. There was first known Montegenes, and the last was in the 12th dynasty. The first Jew, Abraham, was not born until about the 13th dynasty, and that would be about 1765 before the Common Era. Thus, we can eliminate the lie about Jews building pyramids in Egypt. As a matter of fact, they didn't have enough nerves to even put it in the Torah, which you call the Old Testament. The crossroad that I'm speaking about is the crossroad when man first attempt to codify social and human behavior. A set of laws, 42 laws to govern human behavior, otherwise called the Admonitions to Goddess Ma'at, and later the 42 negative confession. Negative because they start out as an answer to a previous command, and if the answer is already edited in the 4100 before the Common Era, then you must understand that the command itself, or themselves, since they're 42, was back to at least 6000 BC, what is called a pre-dynastic period of Nile Valley civilization, such as, Hail Ma'at, I have not made light thy bushel. Hail Ma'at, I have not killed man nor woman. I think you should pick up a few there, so when you start to talk about the nonsense about Moses, somebody named Moses got Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai in Africa, in Egypt. The last time I looked at Egypt, and that was 2 weeks ago, Egypt was still in Africa, it hadn't gone anywhere. Except on the campus and white professors. And now, since you have a new black professor in white skin, Martin Burnell, and now you can now speak about Egypt. You can now be sure, because you can now say Ben-Jochannan was speaking the truth. Martin Burnell says so. And now you can walk away with Martin Burnell's book. Those of you who had to hide mine, and then look underneath before you speak from it, you can now walk with it, because Martin Burnell has said Jochannan was telling the truth. And that goes for Dr. Clarke too. He has sanctioned, and other white scholars have now come and sanctioned what we are saying. So now you could take that out with the New York Times and Sunday and feel appropriate. But the crossroad I'm talking about, you can go to Karnak Temple and see the beginning of mathematics. You go there, and not only the so-called 10 Commandments for 32 orders are there for you to see, but you can't come there because you have to take that time to go to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem if you are Jewish, and you have to go to see where Christ was born after they left Thank you, sir. They left the cave in Ethiopia and changed it at the Nicene Conference to a manger in Bethlehem. You can, or you have to go to Mecca to check the Kaaba that came from Ethiopia and the writings of an Ethiopian, Hatzad Kubad ibn Rabad, otherwise called Bilal. You will take those things and utilize them and still do not pay any attention from whence they came. Thus you are at the crossroad, holding the keys of man's civilization and don't even know you have them at the crossroad, giving them out to other people, telling them in what direction they should go from the point where you are. Excuse me. Now, Africa at the crossroad. In the crossroad that Africa is, when you go to the temple at Karnak, originally called Warit, W-A''R-I-T. There you would find a temple. You could take St. John the Divine Cathedral in New York and that's the one in New York, the homosexual just picketed it, St. Patrick's. I have to use references to refresh my memory. And you can take the Vatican, the entire Vatican, the Church of England at Canterbury, put them all together. There are a number of people who have been with me to this place right here in this room tonight and still run the Indy 500 around them and got space to walk around with your girlfriend and don't get hit. That is the size of the temple that I'm speaking about. That is the temple where we would go. And at the side of the wall next to the Holy of Holies, which you have adopted also, there you will see original mathematical symbols that the Africans were using along the Nile before Diane Ravitch and others felt that Dr. Jeffries was crazy for repeating them. Jeffrey Can, you have been to the Nile many a time and you have seen it. Poor Diane, she hasn't left Texas yet, even though she lives in New York. Her mind is still in Texas when